So, virtual learning program. Today we are discussing the topic of Indian polity. This is the fourth session, so we have to discuss some important facts related to the polity. Let's have uh, today we are discussing about the schedules and the parts of the constitution, right? Okay, so let's go through the important topics we discussed till this moment, and we talk about the historical background about the constitution, important acts and sources. Then we talk about the making of the Indian Constitution, the second box. And under this point, we discuss about the important events, objective resolution, and committees associated. Then we talk about the silent features of the constitutions and descriptions and the schedules. And after that, we will discuss about the parts of the constitution. So let's discuss in the mainstream point. Current constitutions. So we have to understand what are the main terms I used in these slides. First one is preamble, second one is parts, third one is schedule, and fourth point is articles. So first you have to imagine that the constitution as a book, okay, and there is a free booklet along with this book. That free booklet we call it as schedule. Suppose it's for your ease of understanding. I'm telling the story like thing. Okay, so preamble is a book and a free booklet along with this one is a schedule. So the preamble is constitution is a book and the free booklet is called as schedule. So definitely you know that there is always all the books, every books there is a front page called as preface. So for constitution we call the front page or the preface as preamble. So in preamble they write few points related to the constitution, and when we read the preamble we get the outline of the Indian constitution. So preamble is the preface of the book. And in after that preface we can find definitely some chapters. Okay, inside the chapters you can find some headings or lessons. So the chapters of a book, in this case in the constitution we call the chapters as parts. Inside the parts there are small lessons called as articles. So it's very simple to understand that consider constitution as a book. The preface of the book is called as a new name is here, that is preamble, and after the preamble there are chapters. We call here those chapters as parts. Inside the parts there are small lessons. Here we call it as articles. So that means simple, constitution as a book. Inside the book we are having preamble. After the preamble we will find some parts. Inside the parts you will find articles. So preamble, article and parts, I think it's clear. And the separate booklet that you are going to get free with this main book is called a schedule. So schedules are those list that we need to edit frequently. Okay, so we are considering the constitution as a solid book or the strong book that is very difficult for editing all the time. So we will keep those points that need frequent edition, and we add those points in a separate book called as schedule. That's simple. I'll give you an example. It's a very simple example. Suppose you just imagine that the salary of president. If the salary of president in 1947 was 10 rupee, then now it is not 10 rupee. That means according to the time, it will always increase. Okay, the value will increase, right? So every time we have to adjust, we have to re-edit the value or the salary of the president. So we kept that area, the salaries of the government employees like president, prime minister, all those things. We kept those points in schedule. The exact location is schedule 2. Okay, in schedule 2 we discuss the salaries and all. So we'll go through the schedules today. That is the topic, today's topic. So now we are having some simple important points related to the preamble. Very simple one pointed matter related to the preamble. So preamble is called as preface, and the architect of the preamble is Jawaharlal Nehru, adopted in 1947, 22 January, and we borrowed it from USA. Okay, and it was amended. Amended means editing of the constitution is called as amendment. So definitely we know that initially we created the constitution, and based on some time being will change it, right, accordingly. So each and every point will change. So the constitution also we are changing according to the situation, current situations, right? And that changing or editing of the constitution is called as amendment. And the preamble once amended in 1976, and 42nd Amendment Act was the amendment that we used to change the preamble, and it happened in 1976. Why we amended? We amended the preamble just because to add some or insert special words into it. Those special words are socialist, secular, and unity and integrity. These words we added or inserted into the Constitution preamble in 1976 by 42nd Amendment Act. Okay, and what are the main highlight of the preamble? So now we can read these words in the preamble, that is sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So what is your nation? What is India? Then we have to say that it is sovereign, it is socialist, secular, democratic republic. So se de re. So se de re. For easiness you can understand that point. Now we are talking about the parts. I told you that after the preface we are having chapters. Here we call those chapters as parts. So we are now discussing for the prelim concern, we will focus mainly on part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 and part 4a. So these are the main important parts we have to learn, and we are learning it right now, and after that we will continue with the remaining portion or the remaining parts. And the part 1 of the constitution always deal with union and its territory, and the article inside this part or inside this chapter is article 1, article 2, article 3, article 4. Okay, and the second part is citizenship. So after the union or the land and all, then the next important point is the people here who is living here in this nation. So the second part is dealing with the citizenship. Article 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 are associated with the part 2. And the third part we are talking about the rights, fundamental rights of the citizens, that discussed in article 12 to article 35. Okay, and in part 4 we are talking about DPSP, directive principle of state policy, in article 36 to 51. And in part 4a, so you can see there is a suffix a, right? Extra letter is there, a. So from that a you have to understand that initially this part was not a part of the constitution, it was later added. So that means what? Amended. Okay, it was later added to the Indian constitution. So part 4a they are talking about fundamental duties. Okay, that is in article 51a. So the minimum qualification for a person to attend for civil service exam prelims, they have to understand or they have to by heart from article 1 to 51a, one by one. That's very important. So that's why this slide is very important for you. So let us discuss in deep. Other than this part 1 to part 4a, we will discuss few important highlighted parts, that is in part 9, part 9a. So part 9 is Panchayat, articles 243 to 243o, and part 9a those municipalities, 9b cooperative societies. And when discuss about the part 5, it is talking about election, and the articles are 324 to 329a. And in our part 18 we talk about emergency of Indian constitution, emergency like internal emergency, external emergency and financial emergency, and the articles associated are 352 to 360. And in part 20 we talk about amendments, and the important article is 368. So this article 368 is the article where we have to understand how we are amending or how we are editing the constitution and the laws. So 368 article is very important. So for us time being we have to be clear about article 1 to 51a. Other articles we will learn slowly in the next coming video sessions. Okay, so this is very important. Article 1 to 4, then 5 to 11, then 12 to 35, 36 to 51 and 51 to 51a. So this is important, union to fundamental duties. Okay, so today's session we are talking about the extra book, that is schedule. There are 12 schedules are there in the Indian constitution. One by one we will explain. And the first one is they are talking about the state and the union territories. Second schedule, it is talking about the salaries. Third one, it is oath. Fourth one is seat in council of states. Fifth one is scheduled area. Sixth one is tribal area. And seventh one is distribution of power. Eighth one is languages. Ninth one is special law. 10th one is anti-defection law, 11th one is panchayat, and the 12th one is municipalities. So let us go in deep. Okay, Schedule 1 of the constitution. So why we have separate booklet schedule? Because whatever matters we are adding in this schedule need frequent addition or editing. So that's why we keep these points as a separate one. So first one is schedule 1. In this schedule 1 we talk about the names of the states and the union territories and the boundaries. Okay, what are the jurisdiction associated with the states, what are the jurisdiction associated with the union territories, they talk about it in the schedule 1. And the main important article associated with this schedule 1 is article 1 and article 4. So by heart those articles as much as possible. We will discuss this same and again and you will automatically by heart one point of time. And schedule 2, this is what I am talking about. It is about the emolument, allowances, salary, privileges and so on of all the employees, important employees like president, governor, speaker, deputy chairman. So speaker, deputy chairman, you have to be clear about one point. See, we know that there are two houses in the parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, right? So Lok Sabha we are having speaker there and a deputy speaker. Correspondingly in Rajya Sabha we call the same position as chairman and deputy chairman. Okay, so Lok Sabha speaker and deputy speaker, Rajya Sabha chairman, deputy chairman. So likewise in the state level we will call it as legislative assembly. So legislative assembly also having what? Speaker and a deputy speaker. Likewise we are having the same Rajya Sabha type thing in the states, some states, that is we call it as legislative councils. Okay, and legislative council what they have a chairman and a deputy chairman. So this is what we call as bicameralism. Bicameralism, two house bodies are there in the center or the parliament, and there is also there in some states. Okay, if you consider Kerala, we don't have that legislative council but only legislative assembly. So MLAs are there in Kerala, member of legislative assemblies. MLCs, member of legislative councils, are not there in Kerala. Why? Because there is no legislative council body. And president, governor, speaker, deputy chairman, okay, and deputy speaker of legislative assembly, chairman of legislative councils, deputy chairman of legislative councils, judges, Supreme Court and High Court, and comptroller and auditor general. So these are the important officials. Okay, their salaries are there mentioned in the schedule 2 of the constitution, and the articles are article 59, 65, 75, 97, 125, 148, 158, 164, 186 and 221 respectively. So schedule 2 is talking about the salary, so don't forget the point. Now we talk about schedule 3. Okay, schedule 3 they talk about the forms of oath and affirmation, oath or affirmations. Okay, the pledge these ministers are going to take, right? Not only ministers, union ministers, MLS, MPs, judges, CAG or comptroller auditor general, state ministers, and those candidates to the president, those candidates to the parliament, and to those candidates to the legislative council or assemblies, they all need to follow the oath and affirmations that is mentioned in schedule 3, and the articles are 75, 84, 99, 124, 146, 173, 188 to 19. So if possible you can by heart the articles, at least few is important. Now we talk about schedule 4. Schedule 4, we know that it is the Rajya Sabha seat allocation. So we can definitely find that we are directly selecting the MPs or the member of parliament to the Lok Sabha, but for the Rajya Sabha we are not electing anybody, we are indirectly choosing that. That means from some state, the state ministry is choosing those members for the Rajya Sabha as MPs. So but for Lok Sabha we are directly electing people. So direct election is there for Lok Sabha, indirect election is for Rajya Sabha, and for each state there is a correct proportional representation is there in the parliament Rajya Sabha. Okay, that allocation is mentioned in schedule 4, and the article is article 4 and 80, and it is definitely based on population. Schedule 5 is the administration of scheduled areas and scheduled tribe areas, and the article is 244. Schedule 6 also, it is the administration of some scheduled areas, but specifically they mention about Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. So that is there in schedule 6. Article 244 and 275 are the important one. Schedule 7 is the division of power. So definitely, you know what, the union is more powerful than state. So definitely there is a cooperation between the states and central for every aspects of development. So there is always having what, division of power. So division of power is mentioned in Schedule 7 between the union and the states and UTs, right? In terms of what, list 1, list 2 and list 3. So what we have to know is we have to identify what are these lists. There are three lists are there in India, that is union list, concurrent list, so state list and concurrent list. Union list means what? Those in that list they mention something and that something the union have the full authority. That is simply. For example, army. So that means a state official or a state machinery cannot interfere in any business of army, that is fully under the control of union. So union, there is a list of matters. There is correctly it is 100. The same case with the state. Okay, there are 61 matters are there in the state list. And for example, law and order. Okay, the union is not at all controlling law and order. It is a state's discretion to control it. So union list is clear, state list is clear. But some list where the union and the state have this some kind of intervention, right? For example, education system in India. So union is also having some kind of influence and the state is also interfering in it. So that kind of matters are there in the concurrent list. There are 52 matters in concurrent list, 100 in union list and 61 in state list. Whatever matters related to this Schedule 7 is mentioned in Article 246. So don't forget this point. Now the next one is Schedule 8. It is in this schedule they talk about the languages, those languages that we are recognized in India. Originally it was 14, but presently it is 22 recognized languages. And there is some changes happen in 1967. It is by Sindhi language was added to the schedule in 21st Constitutional Amendment Act 1967. Kongani, Manipuri and Nepali was added again in 71st Constitutional Amendment Act 1992. And recently Bodo, Dongri, Maithili, Santali languages were added to the Constitution Schedule 8 by 92nd Constitutional Amendment Act 2003. So whatever related to these schedules is mentioned in Article 344 and 351. And then comes to the 9th schedule of Indian Constitution. Okay, and the 9th schedule they talk about the act and regulations of states dealing with the land reforms. Okay, so we know that there is a abolition of semindari system in India. So land reforms are happening in India. So whatever mentioning points mentioned related to these land reforms and semindari system is mentioned in Schedule 9. Originally there were 19 acts. Now it is 282 acts associated with the land reforms. And there is one highlight point here is in the first Constitutional Amendment Act 1951, this Constitutional Amendment Act protects the law included in it from judiciary. So that means just because of the 1951 first Constitutional Amendment Act, the judiciary cannot scrutiny any of the law associated with the land. That means there is a protection, protect the law included it from the judiciary scrutiny on the ground of violation of fundamental rights. So that was the protection was given as a right to property in 1951. But in 2007, Supreme Court ruled that the law included in this schedule after April 24, 1973. That means the land reforms. So those points, those laws that included in this schedule after 1973 April 24 are now open to the judicial review. That means now it is simple for the judiciary to scrutiny or judicial review is possible for the matters associated with the Schedule 9 of the Indian Constitution. So the article associated with this 31B. So this is very important one. Then comes Schedule 10. Okay, Schedule 10 it's called as anti-defection law. Anti-defection law means that if I just be a part of one party and after winning the election I try to change my party, then there is a re-election happen. That means I will be getting disqualified for that contest, right? So that is anti-defection law. Disqualification of MPs or MLA on the ground of defection. That is a highlight. And it was added later to the Schedule 10 as Schedule 10 by 52 Constitutional Amendment Act 1985. The article associates are 102 and 191. Schedule 11 and Schedule 12 are associated with the Panchayat and municipalities respectively. So Schedule 11, it is Panchayat, power authorities responsibility. There were 29 matters associated with Schedule 11. It was added by 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1992. So very important. And the article associated is 243G. Similarly, Schedule 12, it is talking about municipalities. Here also, power authorities and responsibility we talk about. 18 matters associated with this one, that is, it was also added to the schedule by the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act 1992, and the article associated was 243W. So these are the important topic we discussed in this session: preamble, okay, and schedules, and parts we just have an intro, and we will discuss those parts in the coming sessions. Hope you enjoy these sessions. Parts in detail will be in the next sessions. Thank you so much. Keep watching.